Hi, Narasimha.
Hi, good morning, good evening, Ravi.
Yeah. It's a long weekend here in US, so
Oh, I think people may not join, right?
yeah. It's a holiday today here. That's the
Okay,
reason.
okay.
Yesterday also I got stuck somewhere. I was not able. Then I realized, oh my God, I missed this.
Okay. What?
What was the topic discussed yesterday, Narasimha?
This about administration part and
Okay, I'll take a look at the video. Yeah, but
yes. Anyway, if you want, I'll just repeat that. You can just go
okay,
to the recording. If you want me to
yeah,
repeat, I'll do that. Yeah.
okay, sure. I think let's wait for another 3 4 minutes because a long weekend, right? Schools also, kids also at home, so a lot of
Okay.
people may join.
Back,
Yeah,
Ravi.
they may not join. Yes, I think so. Okay, Santosh. Yes.
Mm. Let's call it off then, Narasimha, because you can send out an email that this is
Narasimha,
Yes, Ravi. So just 1 minute.
now,
Let's wait for a moment.
okay.
okay.
Yeah, yes,
Santosh,
Bharat. Bharat, you were saying
Yeah,
something.
yesterday I created that user. That I don't know
Often.
why that error is coming, but after that, the same ID is taken.
Okay, maybe that time, maybe there side there may be some problem.
Hmm.
Informatica side, Bharat.
Okay.
If it's new ID, it should work actually. Yeah. So that's good, Bharat. So everything is working, right?
Yeah, working. I created connection and all.
Oh, fantastic. You can also try this app integration, Bharat, just
Hmm.
to make sure that even app
Okay.
integration also works, Bharat. Yeah.
Okay, sure. I'll go through your video and
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
try
if you
to.
get stuck something, no, then I will just take it offline to fix it. Yeah.
Hmm. So admin part yesterday you cover, right? So
Yes.
one request, like if any existing workflow, Power Center workflow, you told, right?
Yes,
I will
was
show
the
you.
question. I remember that, Bharat. You asked
Mm,
this question earlier. Huh?
mm. Yes.
So, yeah,
I
I
know
don't
it's
have.
export import, but if you have anything that is Power
Yeah,
Center,
handy, right? Yes.
yes.
Let me figure out some examples. Yeah, I'll do that, Bharat. I remember you asked this question earlier.
Mm, thanks.
So, what to do? So, I think we'll cover some topics if you're okay, Ravi, Bharat, and Santoshi.
Oh, I'm okay, Narasimha. So I'm ready, right? Anyway, so I was just thinking about other people.
Okay, so yeah, as you said rightly, right? It's a long weekend, no? So yeah, I'll share the recording because if you start giving these breaks, no, you'll get used to it. There'll be discontinued. What is it, Ravi? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
almost
fine. Like, mm,
yeah, it's almost see, this course got over actually. So I'm just covering these extra things. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Today I'll just talk about some tunable stuff and then yeah, I'll try to get into some profiling and quality. They're just extra things just to get a broader
Oh yeah,
overview for
definitely.
this.
Yeah. So profiling and all that. That those
Yes,
things.
yes, yes, yes. Yeah. Because yeah, they're part of anyway. Quality MDM we cover, but still,
Mhm.
I'll give some broader perspective on that, Ravi, if you're okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's get started then. Yeah. So I think, as I said earlier, so yesterday we talked about administrative activities, where we understood from like what are the organization details and how to create sub-organization, you know, and then start providing appropriate access. Right? I think we talked about it. Then after that we got into, so do we have any way to get into single sign-on so that we could achieve it by using what? SAML, which is Security Assertion Markup Language, right? So I think we talked about that. So, but prerequisite for that is we have to obtain what identity provider file from third party authentication or authorization tool. Example LDAP, I was trying to talk. And then after that, we talked about like how do you create users, groups, roles, and assign user to a group to a role. So those things also, I think we talked about it. So thereafter, we have seen connectors. For example, if you want to, let's say, start getting into Salesforce Workday activities, for that we have to have Workday connector, right? So that we could get it from Informatica Cloud itself as a separate trail connector 30 days. But yes, commercial anyway, we'll get it separate thing. Yes, we can get available connectors for 30 days to practice. Then we have also talked about,
One more question. When this 30-day trial expired, where
okay,
we are going to make it extend?
one by using email ID. Bharat, you can just apply some other email ID.
Oh,
Then
no option to extend the same email ID.
extend means we have to pay for it.
Okay, got it.
So, yeah. So, but yeah, that's a good question you brought. So, before it expires, right, 1 or 2 days before, whatever activity that you have done, right, export and keep it in XML file. After re-registration with some other mail ID, right, you can just get it imported. Bharat. Yeah.
Okay, so whatever mapping tasks you have created as part of your practice, those we can import
Yes,
it. Okay.
exactly. You are right. Yes, Bharat. Yeah. So, yes, we can do that. Yeah. But once the tail gets over, right, after that, there is no of recovering. But if you know, like how, like yesterday I talked about from uh, operating system side, like where and all we have this XML files and import log, export, all that we discussed, right? Yes or no? If you know that, still we could able to get it back, Bharat. So we have that fallback option. Yeah. So yeah, I'll try to talk about it again because it's one of the important thing. In case we, let's say we have forgotten to export, right? We can get it by getting into operating system. Go to the location, like metadata we have seen, right? Metadata folder. You can get in there, obtain all the XMLs, and get it imported. That way we can get it even after expiry also. Yeah, fine. So then, yeah, let us try to touch upon what you call. After that thing, we talked about swaggers, we know, and we have also seen API tracking in admin level. Plus agent configuration also we discussed. Like in case if you want to set global properties at agent level, so those properties can be used anywhere in other assets. Assets means like task flows or components or task, whatever. Yeah. So I think that also we have seen like group level, which is secure agent group level, how to set global configuration and how to set global properties at agent level also has been discussed in the last session, right? So that's about admin stuff. So thereafter, as I was saying earlier, we talked about some of the admin activities. Yeah. So sorry, some of the debugging activities, which includes what? Let's say if you get stuck with something, how do you get it troubleshooted? Yeah. So to answer that, one way to fix it is what by using what log files. Yes or no? Yeah. So those log files, one, we can get it from front end itself, and second, we can also get it from server side, which is wherever agent got installed, right? So we can get in there especially with the data integration server, where one, we can go to this logs folder. Within that, you will have the first and foremost log that we need to take a look at it is what? Tomcat log, where we can start from the beginning. Beginning in the sense, how do we execute this particular IICS task, a task flow from a command line or from, in reality, when you run from the front end, right, in the server side, the execute command that will be used is what? pmdtm dot, one second, ODTM. Yeah, there is a ODTM command that we have seen yesterday, right? Yes or no? This one. So for any task that we execute, right? So it is going to make use of this particular command. Let me just select that again. It starts from here, right? Yeah, here. Complete absolute path and then till this. This is going to be the complete command that will be used in the server side to execute our task or task or whatever. In that, what I was trying to talk yesterday was PMDTM is a command line plate like PMCMD or InfoCMD in local environment, right? Yes or no? So this is exactly similar to that. Then RDTM is going to be the option, which is a runtime data transformation manager, followed by config file. I think we have seen this config file, like what it contains. What it contains, guys? It contains all the agent properties. So we can also modify this particular config file, which will act as what? Global config file or global properties that will be taken as input for any task, whatever, right? Next, by default, this particular agent will be listening against a port number of 14878. Then, once we understand this port, in case if there is a conflict, right, we can go with what? Some other port number. Then, we need to supply metadata. This is what I was saying. In case if you have, let's say, forgot to export your activities, right? This is XML file. We can go to metadata folder. Then within that, we could able to say what you call all the activities that you have done. These are all XML files. Yeah? So we can just use that XML file. I think I've shown it yesterday. So let me try to. I'm trying to repeat this because it's important thing, guys. Yeah. Yeah. Can you see here? So I think if you have worked on local environment like Power Center Data Quad, right? Even there also, if you export, right, XML file would look like this, which contains like whatever we configure, right? So complete stuff can be seen as part of this particular XML. That's it. Once you have this XML, right? So we can get it imported. Yeah. Next, this is going to be the session task, or simply task, we can say mapping task. See, here there are some misleading terms, guys. In the server side, they are using S. In the front end, they're talking about mapping task. But in the log, they say session log. So that is fine. But they're all one and the same. So we don't need to get into confusion more. Yeah? And then we can see the task type. Yeah? Like whatever task that we talked about. Yeah? Like mapping task or whatever, right? So that we can see over here, task name. See, when does this task default task time comes in? Because when you try to run a mapping, right? So it should have a way to identify a task. That's why internet is going to create a session task with random number, random value, you can say. Yeah? It's not a number, it's alphanumeric stuff. Yeah. So then parameters. So as we all know that by default, you will have system defined parameters like we have seen yesterday, right? Time, all that. Plus, if you want to have your own custom parameters, then we can just create a sample, what you call parameter file and place it under user parameters. I think we talked about that with practical examples. Sorry. So that's user defined stuff. And what we are trying to talk over is what system different parameters. Yeah? It's better not to touch this particular file. We can change it, but whenever you modify something in front end, right, it will be overwritten. That's why better not to touch this file. But if you want to have your own parameters, create separate param file and place it as part of this and use it. Or else you can place it wherever you want, but you need to supply absolute path and file name as part of task level configuration. Yeah. So that's it. Then import log. So import log when it will be used to take care of what I call issues. In case if you have any issues, right? Those issues will be troubleshooted by using what import log. Yeah. So that's what we can see over here. This one, last one. Yeah. So meta and data logs. I think we talked about both. So this is basically like session log, right? And meta issues we can see as part of import log. That's it. So two types of issues, right? I think we have seen both the logs. So log files also evaluate in the agent side. That's it. From this, we can say that even if you don't have access to Informatica Cloud repository, which is taken care by Informatica, right? We can also get everything from agent side, which means this particular agent maintains a local repository in the form of what both uh, task plus all that. Plus, it would also maintain what logs also. Both we could get it, which means that it's not mandated that we need to have access to what Informatica Cloud repository. Everything is available at agent level also. We got it right. You can say it's a local repository. So that is going to be the repository which will be handled by Informatica. That's it. Yeah. So that's it about like how we can understand this execution of a command from the backend. Yeah, that's fine. So now the next question is what this is a Tomcat, right? Why we are trying to look at the Tomcat log for, right? Can someone guess it here? Because we need to recall what architecture. Yeah. So if you try to recall architecture like what we discussed at the beginning of IC sessions, right? Smart cloud sessions. We got a client, we got app server, we got a server, we got data or meta layer. This is a common layering that we follow even for local environment also, right? So client could be in this case Informatica Cloud. Then app server is going to be what? Tomcat. And server is going to be what? DIS. That's it. And data meta layer is what? Like whatever we use it. It could be a file or DB or app. Yeah. And meta, we are using it both local, which is agent part, and also ICR, which is Informatica Cloud Repository. That's it. So why we got into this Tomcat? Because when you try to send any request from the client, so request will be sent to app server. So by default, we use Tomcat. That is why we looked at that particular log file. Within that, it is going to execute a command, which is RDTM command, which in turn will make use of what? Of data integration server. Then invocation would take place like moving or transferring data from one to another. Result of that will be stored in what? Appropriate storage medium. This is the common flow that we follow as part of architecture. That is why we started with what? Tomcat log. Yeah. So that's it about starting point, like way to look at this log file. Yeah. Specific logs, it's a straightforward. Yeah. Like session log, meta logs that we have already seen. It, yeah. So that's it. And I've also talked about, you can see all the structure, what is the folder structure, right? Cache directory and error log, error logs, and also metadata stuff, default parameters, the system parameters, stage, and so on, right? Like this is exactly similar to what? what we do as part of local power center or data quality environment, guys. This is nothing different from that. I think we have seen like a way to where we configure these things, right? At agent level. Yeah.
Yes.
You want to change voice profile settings, right? We can also do it. I think you remember, right? In local
Yes.
environment also, if we open data integration service or power center integration service, right? Where we can go to process and look at what voice profile settings. So here also we have seen, right? As part of agent level. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. So now let us start getting into what another topic, which we call, let's say, yeah, there's one more thing, tracing stuff. If you want to debug that, I didn't talk about it. So trace level part, we all know. If you want to, let's say, troubleshoot the issues at row level, because let us say, if you have existing log, like if you take any session log, let me go here. So we don't get what detail log at row level. Yes or no? So now the question, let's say there is a data problem, which we need to get it troubleshooted. How do I do it? So that's where we can enable the trace to what verbose data, where we can get the data at, sorry, log at row level. Yeah. So for example, if you try to run here, yeah, so let it get executed. Now, let us say we need to what we call troubleshoot data level for all the transformations that we have within this what mapping or mapping task. In that case, we can enable the log at what we call task level. Remember that, yeah. That's where the top level or global level tracing. But let us say, so we need to, yeah, now it has completed. Now let us open the log, yeah, download. This is from what happened. I spoke this still. I think it's download. Yeah, it's done. So now let me open this. Yeah, can you see here? So here, if you look at the log, is what normal or info item you can see. You can see the log that contains what row level. Answer is no. So that's where we can enable what we call log, which is verbose data, whatever, right? Then we can see very detailed log messages. So what you guys would have seen in the power center under quality. Yeah. So first thing, which agent group we are using, then group name, sorry, group name, then followed by specific agent, it's our system name, then ID to identify each agent, yeah, then followed by whatever task that we have created, then the task type is what mapping task type, yeah, then followed by every task could be identified by using ID, which is a task ID, and we can run n number of times, and every run we can identify it by using what run ID. Then whenever we run any what I call task, right, it is going to spawn a top level process which we call DTM process. The underlying name that we use it what service ID or PID, which is a process ID, right? And then followed by who invoke this particular task and which context, which is from graphical interface we are trying to run it. That's what it means. Then we could able to see here four inputs over here. One, source. Second, our transformation. Third, second operation. Second transformation. Same aggregator, second transformation. If you go and look at the mapping here, yeah. So can you see first transform aggregate trans second aggregate transformation. Here we have got one config which is a count. Yeah. So look at here, it's a one count here. And if you look at second add, you will have what sum. Yeah. whatever, some result, whatever, right? Same thing we could able to see over here. Then based on these three inputs, it's going to create what? Session, where we have session level configuration. Then followed by what I call this is in case if you have any errors, whatever, right? They'll be shown up here. Anyway, we are not using it here, so it's not applicable. Then start verifying or validating the source, target, both the targets, because in this mapping we got two targets, right? If we just try to restore it, so there are two targets, yeah. So we can see here, yeah, first target and second target. So that's it. Now can you see guys here? It is trying to import a mapping. So and then which contains whatever configurations, right? So in case if you have any issues with respect to these are global configurations. So when you create a mapping, whatever, right? We can see these options, right? So that we can see here. Then followed by what I call if you have any variable that we have set it, we can see it. And remember, we don't see any workflow name here, though we run simple task, right? Internally, it is going to create what top level workflow within which one task will be executed. That's a default behavior, guys. Even Power Central or even data quality also, we create forever, even if you want to run simple mapping, where we create session task under workflow, which means even in Informatica Cloud also, it follows same thing. Though we don't do it from the front end, but in the server side, the concept is same. If you run a mapping, internet is going to create what? Workflow, then task, and invocation. This procedure is same. See here, it got created workflow, and also we can see session. We can see session task, right? That's it. After that, so rest follows, like whatever is done as part of this mapping, right? Those things should happen. See, this is starting repository sequence ID. How do you identify, guys? Because if you try to obtain metadata from ICR, which is Informatica Cloud Repository, there has to be a way to identify, right? That's where it follows what? Sequence ID. Repository level sequence ID, not row level sequence ID. So this is not there as part of local environment, which is a Power Center data quality. This they added because we are trying to get it from cloud, right? That's why they added this feature. Yeah? But it's internal. Outside, we don't see that. Yeah? And param file, I think we talked about it. So one system level parameter. This is for every task. Yeah. Then user defined. If you have it, you can see it. Or else no. So this is where param file. Then followed by starting this particular session. Yeah. So remember, before it starts, right, it has to create a thread. The thread information, right? So that we can see if we enable what tests. There's a test verb, what you call it, log level, right? Or trace level. If enable, then we can say that. Now repository name, which is XML repository, which is Informatica Cloud, and server name. I think we have seen this, right? As part of the command also, right? Yes or no? Within Tomcat log. Yeah. And then folder default folder, that's why it's empty. If you have your own folder, folder name also can be seen here. So then workflow name. So then followed by we are using operating system, which is Windows NT. Though it's a Windows 10 or whatever, right? Base OS is what? NT only. That's one of the successful operating system for Microsoft, right? We all know that. Then we have got what do you call mapping name, date format. This we configure at the time of connection creation itself. Yeah, format, right? Default parameter format we are using it. Then integration service, which is data integration server. Yeah. So that's it. Because session, who is going to invoke, guys? Data integration service. Yeah. So that's it. Now start invocation. Yeah. They're all just like configuration stuff. Yeah. Then manager comes in, DTM manager. It will have some thread ID. Then by default, you'll have one partition. So that we could able to see here. Then followed by both pipelining, and partitioning, both the parallelism techniques would go hand in hand. This is same, guys. So we all know that if you take what you call even power center or data quality, both follows what same parallelism stuff. So what is that? Informatica especially follows two types of parallelism techniques. One is what pipelining, and second is what partitioning. It doesn't support module-based partitioning. Yeah. So remember, but some other tools will support. We don't care about that. Yeah, fine. So pipelining, we all know that. So downstream task or downstream transformation need not have to wait till all the rows that should be processed by upstream transformation or upstream task. For example, TRX1 and TRX2. In this case, TRX1 is going to be upstream transformation and TRX2 will be the downstream transformation, right? So which means, so TRX2, it need not have to wait till all the rows that should be processed by TRX1 because there no need a parallelism, right? Parallelism means what? Simultaneous running of several tasks or several transformations or several threads or several processes. We all know that, right? Yeah. It's simultaneous. What are these different threads here? In this case, thread 1 and thread 2. Both the threads will be executed at the same time. Remember that. So that's where we can see the power of parallelism. That is with respect to what? Pipelining. So we are trying to make both the transformations or both the threads are busy. Yeah. So nothing will be idle. Now the question, can we achieve what I call 100% of parallelism just by using pipelining alone? Answer is no. Why? Because resources part, meaning what? We have got enough resources in terms of what? One, memory. Second, disk. Third, CPUs. We all know that, right? Now we need to start making use of those resources effectively. Yes or no? How do you do it? That's where we need to start getting into the usage of what? Partitioning parallelism. Meaning what? Partitioning. English meaning is what? Divisioning. What do we divide here? Data. What data we divide here? Source data. For example, let's say if there are 30 rows that need to be processed. I'm just taking a very simple example. So let us say just by using pipelining alone, if it takes, let's say, 3 minutes to complete a task at task flow, now we need to make it happen faster than expected. Let's say our SLA is what? Only 1 minute instead of 3 minutes. Then what we need to do? We need to start introducing what we call partitioning, where the partition count is going to be what partition count is equal to 3, which means what? Single job, which is single task, which contains what we call, let's say, TRX1 and TRX2. This will be broken down into what? Three subtasks. We don't see that from the front end, but in reality, that's what happens in the server side, which means what? Same job or same task will be broken down into what? Multiple subtasks. And each task work on its own. For example, this guy is going to process first set of 10 rows in case of event distribution. Second task is going to perform or process second set of 10 rows, then followed by last set of 10 rows. And at the end of it, merge or collection will take place and collected data will be transferred to what? Relevant target. This is what happens in case of what? Partitioning parallelism. Remember that. So, see, these ETL tools have become more popular and most powerful once upon a time. Now, those days are gone now, anyway. So they have become popular 30, 40 years back, right? Because of this parallelism, guys. Yeah, because if you look at this traditional approach, where so TRX2, which is what second thread, should wait till all the rows that should be processed by upstream thread. So this is a sequential approach, right? That would take hours to complete a job which contains what large volume of data that we could cut down by introducing what these two parallelism techniques. Yeah. So that's it. How to configure pipelining based on what DTM buffer size or a block size. We'll see those properties where we configure and how to configure partition count or type of partitioning like round robin or key base, whatever, right? So those things are exactly similar to what we do in the local environment. It's nothing different from that as part of Informatica Cloud. Yeah, that's a brief introduction about this particular parallelism stuff. I talked about it because anyway, tuning I need to talk, right? So that's it. And once you understand this particular what you call threading part, then how do you transfer data from one transformation to other transformation? By default, it will make use of Unicode as a media to transfer data from one to another because it would take care of uh, English characters plus even non-English characters like international characters, French, Hindi, Telugu, whatever, right? That's what it takes care. Yeah. Now, and corresponding what you call code page. By default, we use Microsoft Latin. Anyway, we can use appropriate code base depending upon type of what you call code, what you call type of character that we deal with. Remember, guys, even these days are also gone now. Yeah, everything would be dealt by using what AI tools nowadays. So those days, since last I think 6 7 months, so people have started off using it. Yeah. So yeah, if I get time, I'll try to show without using IICS or any other tool, right? We can get the job done. So that's where we are. Fine. Now look at here, guys. With respect to sorting, you can ask question. Though we have not used any sort as part of this particular mapping, right? So why is it making use of the sort order here? Remember, guys, if we use simple aggregator or a joiner or a lookup or SQL with the order, right? In all the cases, internally, Informatica would make use of what? Sorting. First, it does sorting, followed by either join or aggregator or remove duplicates, whatever. This is a common thing, guys. But if you want to explicitly add it, we can do it. But though we don't add it, it will make use of sort automatically. It's a binary. The question, can we use what same sorting logic, what I call for dealing with any other language? Answer is no. Remember that. Yeah. So that's where we need to start getting into what I call where is that? Yeah, sorry.
Nasima, they say
So
what is
that's where
binary, right? What is binary sorting? Is there any other type of sorting other than binary?
yes, yeah, that's what I'm talking. Yes, good question. So remember, guys, if you have any other characters like a Spanish, if you deal with some other characters, right, then we need to use some other the specific sorting algorithm, Ravi. So we specified like which sorting that you wanted based on the language. Yes, we can configure that. I'll show where we configure. Task level, we have that option, Ravi. Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
okay. So
But
the
by
server
default,
also is by default Unicode, or is it like, because we have two server modes, right? Unicode and ASCII.
ASCII, you
So,
are
so we prefer Unicode because earlier, I mean, I used to see in a Power Center, right? ASCII integration
ASCII,
service and Unicode.
you are right.
So, yeah. So, can you just also throw some light on like
Yeah,
Unicode
sure.
versus ASCII?
Yes. So Unicode basically it will take care of both English characters and also non-English characters. In that case, data transfer would take place any truncation. But if you use ASCII for international characters like Hindi, Tamil, whatever, right? In that case, data truncation would take place. If you select Unicode with appropriate code page, then there won't be any truncation with respect to data transfer away. That's a concept actually. Yeah. But where to configure, and we'll see that. That's very straightforward. Yeah. Got it, Ravi? Fine. So now, yeah. So now the next question. So we can see here. So we have not configured this anyway. Code page default we are using. That's why it's disabled. And time zone anyway. Find of Greenwich mean time, right? So then process ID. Remember, whenever we run any task or a mapping or a task flow, in all the cases, it is going to start with a top level process, which we call DTM process. Then how do you identify each process, guys? By using what? PID, which we call process ID. Remember, see, for example, if you are good in OS side, right? If you just have a process ID, right? We could able to get complete trace by attaching debugger to this particular PID. That's it is that easy to debug. We don't need session log, we don't need agent log, we don't need the import log, we don't need param log, we don't need the template log, we don't need even task log. We have got multiple types of logs we've seen, right? Nothing is required. If you just have this particular PID, which is process ID, if you attach a debugger, for example, in Linux operating system, we have got GDB, which is GNU debugger, or triple D, which is a data display debugger, right? Whichever debugger, any OS, whichever you are comfortable, right? XDB under AX platform, and Solar is simple DB we have. So depending on the platform, you'll have debugger name. That you can get it from the Google, name of the debugger. Then take the debugger, attach this feed to that, then it will just show up our complete stack trace. Yeah. From that trace, one you'll get a log. Second, you can also get issues in case there are issues. That's it. Yeah. So that's what they display. Informatica guys. See, they just made it colorful and ease of use with respect to the tool. Nothing else. These are all just what you call OS operations because I started from operating system background, right? So I know like how it works internally. Yeah. So now the next question is what precision part. That's what they say, but it's not reality. It's not true. So deadlock will be avoided by default. On commit interval, we'll talk about where we set this commit interval. That's also one of the optimal option. So then we can see DTM error log is disabled because we have not enabled any trace, right? Default is normal, which is informative messages. Remember, guys, if you use any pipelining parallelism, right, internally, it is going to make use of IPC mechanism, which is what we call shared memory, which is one of the fastest IPC or ITC mechanism that we have in SMP environment, which is symmetric multiprocessor environment. Let me talk about that with some lines. Yeah. So remember, guys, we all know that we have got SMP and MPP broader hardware environments. Yeah. So SMP means symmetric multiprocessor, meaning you will have n number of processors which are symmetric in nature. So that's what symmetric we use it. Symmetric means what here? Symmetric means, so let us say we have one CPU, which in which you will have n number of virtual cores, right? Four or two or whatever. Let us say CPU1 contains two virtual cores. You know, then how many do we expect in CPU2? Two only. If it is a two, then we can say that it is symmetric. If it is other than two, which means what? They are not symmetric in nature. Remember that. In this case, we use what? SMP hardware environment. Yeah. So now, once you have it, then what is it saying here? SSM. SSM means shared memory. T means what? Thread. Meaning, write a thread based on what? Shared memory. IPC mechanism. Remember, guys, in SMP environment, we talked about pipelining parallelism, right? So what it does, thread 1, it is going to dump data onto what? A memory, which you call shared memory. So we got different types of memories, right? As part of memory layout, like we got RAM, random access memory. Second, shared memory. Third, stack. Fourth, heap memory. And fifth, BSS, block sorted by symbol. Out of them, Informatica would make use of shared memory. So we need to set the shared memory size also in order to make it optimized with respect to task flow, whatever. Remember that. So based on that, thread 1 is going to dump process data onto shared memory. Once it is done, thread 2 is going to pull this process data from shared memory. But outside, we use a term, what you call DTM buffer size, like 512 MB or 256 MB or 128 KB, whatever. So depending upon amount of data that we process, we can set appropriate GTM buffer size. Remember that. Clear, guys? So the but in reality, it will make use of what? Shared memory IPC mechanism or ITC mechanism. So which is the fastest one, right? Where in SMP hardware environment. But now the question, do we use SMP all the time? Answer is no. Because most of the cases we would be using what? One of the MPP flavor, which we call grid hardware environment. So which is part of MPP. MPP means massively parallel processing, where we can have set of SMPs which are interconnected through high-speed network or low-speed network or medium-speed network. Remember, which means what? So let us say using one SMP, we could able to process 1 TB of data. Now the question, we need to process 10 TB of data within what? A same SLA. Can we do it just by using one SMP alone? No. Answer is no, because we've already reached upper threshold limit. Beyond that, we cannot plug in some more processors, because if you take IBM hardware vendor or HP hardware vendor, right, they can support only like either 256 or 512. But using upper limit of number of CPUs, we can process, let's say, only 1 TB. Can we extend beyond that? Answer is no. That's where we can plug in what? SMPs itself rather than processors. How do you do it? By using what? MPP only. That's the limitation that we have with SMP. Yeah. That is why the most powerful and widely used hardware environment is what? MPP. So especially because we are lazy, no? So we go with what? Grid. Because so it is going to make use of internal computation environment in order to what? Identify freely available resources like CPUs or memory or whatever, right? Based on that, it is going to allocate. Who is it here? Grid computation environment. Yeah. But if you want to do it by yourself, then we can go with what? Simple MPP. That's where big data has come in, right? It has become more popular. Yeah. So which means big data has become popular just because of this. Remember this. Yeah. How it works, I think you all know that. I don't need to talk about it. So that's it. So about hardware stuff. Yeah. So here SHM writer is what? Write a thread. It is going to write it by using what? ITC mechanism, thread communication. Yeah. So that's it. Now the question, now specific to aggregation, right? So we all know that we set what? Index cache size, data cache size. By default, it uses what? Auto. I'm trying to talk about only one example here. Yeah. If you get in here, advanced properties, right? We can see data cache size, index cache size. So we can change those numbers depending upon amount of data that we could process. So by default, based on our input data, right, it is allocating data size some number and cache size some number. These are default numbers. Yeah. But it's better not to use that. Yeah. But if you're not sure about what you're doing, then you can just use this default numbers. Or else calculate the size. For example, 10 rows, each row 10 MB or 10 KB, then 10 rows, 10 into 10, which is, let us say, 100 KB, whatever. That size, we need to set it as part of data. That's the first thing. And second is what? We have index. Index means how many columns. That we use that as what? uh, Key or group key, right? Then let's say two columns. Each column size, let's say 1 kilobyte. So two columns means 2 kilobytes. So we can set max 3 kilobytes. That is for offset purpose because otherwise we'll use a holes concept, right? You need to have some offset to take care of floating operations. So 1K is fine, and 2K is actually that's required. So that we need to set it as part of index cache size. That's how we need to calculate what index cache size and data cache size depending upon volume of data. But let us say the volume of data would keep getting changed from day to day. In that case also, we can parameterize and parameter value. So parameter name we can supply as part of aggregated transformation. Value can be supplied in param file. That's it. That way we can optimize. Even that param file value also we can just optimize it by writing a shell script to calculate based on the volume of data. Then param value can be populated, sorry, not populated, updated by this particular shell script. That way we can automate everything, right, to calculate right numbers. Yeah, fine. So once we are done with that, the next step is what these two. We can just increase if you want it. Oh my God. Okay. So we can increase it if you want it. Yeah. So next is what location that it uses to store, right? So we all know that. Where does it get stored, guys? This is the cache location. This is where it's going to store intermediate cache files. Yeah. It's similar to Power Center. So that's it. Once it is done, so we got these sizes, then we can start getting into why we have two times here with two aggregators, right? That's why we can see two times here. So same thing here. So what happened? Okay, fine. So we have got two times here two aggregators. That is over. Yeah. So till this it's over. Now we need to start getting into aggregator part is over. Now, so we need to get into what? So DTM got initialized with all the transformations, source, target, aggregate, all that. Now pre-session task and then a pre-session thread, you know. So then it is started and then data moment will get started here. Yeah, can you see guys here? Buffer size. Just now I was trying to talk, right? The pipe works based on SHM size or buffer size, and corresponding block size. So remember block, you can ask question, what is this buffer size? What is block size? Remember guys, if you want to perform any IO operations, IO means input output operations. So we use what? IO pools, meaning what? We have got, let us say if writer thread has to write data to some, what you call, some stream in the sense like a pipe or some buffer. How is it going to write? Based on the blocks. Blocks means what? Operating system understands data in terms of what? Blocks only. So which means blocks started by or what you call blocks, number of blocks that are written, and number of blocks that are read. So for that we have to have corresponding block size. And this block size we can also change it from what I call top level properties. We'll see where we change it. Yeah. Because let's say Solaris works with one block size efficiently, whereas in Linux it works in different way. Windows it works in different way. So which means what? Depending upon operating system and data volume, we can take a decision what would be the right block size that we can supply. Both buffer come block size. Yeah. Now reader thread has come in to read the data, and every thread will have unique to identify, which we call thread ID. That's it. We all know that, right? Then reader thread started here with a code page, whatever. Remember, guys, this by default, the sequential buffer size, sorry, buffer length is 1024 bytes. Offset is 2 characters here, or 2 bytes. So, but we don't need to use that. If you want to change it to 10 characters or 20, 30, whatever, right? Depending upon maximum column length that we have, right? We can specify appropriate buffer length. Remember that. Let us say we are dealing with only 2 characters or 2 digits. In that case, we don't need to have this much length configured. There are optimal settings, guys. Now it got initialized success. It in the sense reader thread got initialized successfully. Similarly, for other threads, transformation thread, a writer thread, then start what you call getting into errors. So errors they'll be dumped in error log, which you can see as part of the same location. Here you have error folder. Yeah, that's where error logs, like bad files we have in local environment, right? And then we have writer thread. So this is similar to reader only, but in the right inside. That's it, same concept. So this is a writer, what do you call target. Yeah. So count target, whatever, right? Some name, like whatever we have in this particular mapping. Yeah. These are the targets. Yeah. So that's it. So then, so we can come down here and look at writer thread. There are 2 writers, right? So then we can see 2 targets here. That's it. Yeah. Now once it is done, then actual invocation. It's only initialization, guys, all threads and all, right? Then invocation would take place from here. Yeah. So that's it. Index size, row size. These are all data processing, guys. Okay? So DTM processing. Yeah. So all that processing would take place. It is completed here. This actual processing would take place. Yeah. So in simple terms, initialization and processing. And then summary part you can see, like how many rows that are read, how many rows that are processed, and then transfer to a target. It's a processing stuff. And finally, session load information. Yeah. Source, 8 rows, and then this thing is same as local. And target, 5, and here 5. Total 10 rows, whatever, 2 targets, right? So that's it, guys. Like how this particular log would work. Simple. Log works based on what? DTM architecture. DTM will have one process with n number of threads. N could be varied based on number of transformations that we have in the mapping. That's it about like how the flow of DTM would work. Yeah. Now the question, let us say if you take any task within this particular, let's say, let me try to take one of the tasks. I've just searched for task, guys. So take any task here. As I'm just trying to open one of the tasks. One second. Okay, so here you can just edit this task. Yeah, so here we can go to schedule. That's where we need to configure, guys, this task level settings. Can you see? This are verbose are standard. This is at task level trace setting. So verbose is very dangerous, guys. So set it if there is a problem with respect to data. If not, don't set it. Standard or normal informative. This is a common. Now PDO or ELT, we can specify here to source target full or whatever, because because most of the cases database performs better than what Informatica. In that case, we can just push our logic to what to source or target or full means it itself will take care. Whichever is optimal, right? Target or source, right? it will take a decision to where it has to push the logic. Push the logic means we configure, no? Like aggregation, whatever we discussed, right? That will be pushed.
I have a question here, Narasimha. So
Yeah.
if source is flat file, can we still use PDO on source side?
No.
Okay,
This purely for database. That's why you can see SQL. Yeah.
okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So now the next question. Let us say, do you have anything other than this PDO stuff? Answer is yes. That's where we have got advanced session properties. Yeah. Here, if we just try to scroll down, yeah. So we can see, guys, all the properties over here. Yeah. So one, we have got debug level properties. Second, we also have got what performance tunable properties. Yeah. So let's come from the top. See, these are error related properties. You can say debug related properties, and then these are all what related to performance tuning, and here also performance tuning. Even first also performance tuning. Some are performance tuning, some are debug. That's it. So these are general things. And general means both. We can use it for debugging and also tunable. These are two major things. Yeah. So now let us start understanding some of them. So commit interval. We have seen 10,000 size somewhere in this log file, right? So this is where we can change the number. So instead of 10,000, we can have 1,100,000. We can set it based on what amount of data that we can process. Yeah. Hey, what happened? This something. What is that? Huh? I don't know what happened. Fine. This is where we set it. I think I'll talk about these properties on tomorrow session, guys, because I didn't talk about many things. I thought I'll finish it today. That's fine. I'll talk about tomorrow. If you have any questions, you can shoot out, guys. Yeah.
Can we check more than one properties in here? Because I saw only one in here, like command, let's say commit interval 10,000. Let's say stop on
Yeah.
error, I want to get on here.
Uh-huh. I add one more.
Add button. Okay, okay, cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
This property is available in mapping task, huh? In admin part or DI part?
DI.
DI.
DI. Okay.
Yes, Bharat. Can you see Bharat here? So this is a mapping task, no? So
Okay.
we have just clicked on explore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then search. We just search for task. We are in data integration. You can see, right? Informatica data integration.
Mm.
Yes. Then we search for task and we open task. So it's a data integration level. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Can you run debugger like Informatica in here?
Yes. All right.
This
Respond.
actually, I'm
No, I
asking
didn't
like,
get your
can we
question.
debugger?
Yeah. Ali, can you please bit louder?
No, not me. Rahman is
Rahman,
asking.
Rahman, can you please a bit louder?
Can we run debugger in here like Informatica?
Okay. See, that's a good question. See, we don't have inbuilt debugger in IICS, like what we have in local, right? Yeah, where we can start the debugger, set the breakpoint, step in, step out, all that we can do it in local. But here, instead of that, we have got advanced view, right, Rahman? In that,
Yes.
we can see complete log, like from initialization till the completion. I think we have seen that flow chart, all that. Yes, we can only debug detailed level of debugging by using that, but we don't have debugger like what we have in local environment, Raymond. It's not required because we have this flow chart, right?
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So, okay. So any other questions from anybody?
Also, like a couple questions on like how we can assign like that. What it says like we can increase the buffer size.
Yes, we can increase it. So depending upon the
But
data.
is
Yeah.
that like we can do by ourselves, or is there any specific rules?
No, we can do it by ourselves with rules. Like rules in the sense, one, based on what hardware that we have with respect to CPUs or whatever, right? And second, we also need to take a look at the volume of data that we process. These two things we need to consider before we arrive with any other number. Raymond?
Okay, okay. And target load
Right?
also we can select in here, right? Like bulk or like what
Yeah, we can
says
select. The problem is a random selection,
random.
Raymond. Yeah.
Okay,
But see, we're all experienced people, right? So we need to come up with what precise number. Yes or no? For example, if I have one row, 10 bytes or 1 kilobyte, only 1 kilobyte resources should be used. We should not use what? 10 MB size, right? Yes or no? So we
right.
should be that much of what you call accurate. So that we could get it configured, like what I was trying to talk as part of configuration. Good, right?
Yes,
Raymond?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So yeah, probably if I get time, I'll talk about how to calculate it precisely with number of bytes also. Yeah. Tomorrow, if I
Mhm.
get to cover that. Okay, Raymond?
Sure, sure.
So okay,
Thank
guys, thanks to all. So we'll meet tomorrow. Huh? And bye.
you.